Qyjon Clark. I'm here to talk to you guys today. I'm here to present you guys with the IMH thought process, IMH philosophy, right? Does anybody have a guess what IMH stands for? Yes, ma'am. What is your guess what IMH stands for?
Technology.
It does not stand for technology. Anybody else want to take a guess what IMH stands for? It's an acronym. So it's 3 different words. Anybody else want to take a guess what it stands for?
Integrative, mind, heart.
You're very close, but no. IMH is it just stands for in my hands. It's very simple. So when it comes to taking your life into your hands, there's 2 parts you're gonna need, right? You're gonna need emotional resiliency and you're gonna need self-sufficiency. Now you're gonna need emotional resiliency, right, if you want to take your life into your own hands. Because if you look at just your emotions, right, your emotions are not logical. If you find yourself in situations like I found myself when I was a homeless youth, right, you're gonna need some emotional resiliency to get out of that, right? I learned emotional resiliency the hard way, dealing with my mother who had extreme mental illness. Growing up with my mother, I constantly had to ask myself, like, okay, is she upset because her car won't start, right, and she can't drive us to school or she can't get to work, and that's very stressful? Or is my mother crying because it's Wednesday, right? That's something I had to deal with growing up, right? So that ingrained in me the ability within myself to ask myself, am I being mean today because I woke up on the wrong side of the bed? Or am I being mean because you just made me angry? I always have to ask myself, am I feeling this way for no reason or for good reason, right? This is the tool you can use in your adult life. You can ask any of the adults in the room. Sometimes you do have to ask yourself, am I being emotional right now for good reason or for no reason? Asking yourself this kind of gives you this pause time, right? Because you're going to need this pause time in life. If you just react and you don't think twice, what's going to happen if you don't think twice? Yes, ma'am. Something bad's gonna happen because you're not using your logic and you're not being rational. You're just being emotional, and emotions are not logical. So you're gonna have to, give yourself some positive self-talk. Anyway, so we'll move on. If you're having an emotional reaction for no reason, right, and you know it's for no reason, you wake up and you know it's Wednesday and you're just in a bad mood, what should you do? Yes.
You could try to make the best of it, try to make it a better day, yes.
You're right.
That's what I try to do when I'm having a bad day. Just wake up in a bad mood.
Oh my God, you should be giving this speech. Why am I even here? You should be right here. Anyway, you're right. That's one of the big 3. I call them the big 3. That's one of them, positivity. What else should you do? If you wake up, it's Wednesday, you're upset. And you talk to yourself. You're in the mirror like, I just hate that it's Wednesday. And you're really upset about it. What would you do, ma'am?
I was going to go along with positivity, kind of just try to look at things that would make it a better day. Just because you woke up in a bad mood doesn't mean your whole Wednesday has to be a bad day.
That, I'll say, you're at the second part. You're being very logical. Just because my Wednesday started off this way doesn't mean my whole day has to be tragic, my whole day has to suck. The third part is rationality, right? Very similar logic, very similar positivity. But you gotta be rational, like it's just Wednesday. Yeah, my car's not starting, but you gotta rationalize with it. Be logical, be rational, give a positive spin on it, or you never make it out of the situation, right? What does your brain eat? Who knows what the brain eats? What does your brain eat?
Oxygen.
Right here.
It eats inside here, yes, but what does your brain eat?
Smartness.
What was that? Who said smartness?
Me. I said smartness. She said education. I swear to God. Smart.
Smartness is very close. I would language it different.
No,
I'm gonna move on. I'll get back to you guys. But I would language it different. But your brain eats itself, right? So if you're giving yourself logical, rational, and positive thoughts, your brain's gonna continuously loop those thoughts throughout, right? So your day's gonna get better if you tell yourself positive, rational, logical things. If you tell yourself negative things, your brain eats itself. Your brain's gonna be negative, more negative, and you're gonna go down that negative path. So if you want to be logical, if it's Wednesday, you just tell yourself, hey, we already went through it. It's only Wednesday, right? You tell yourself, you're rational. You say, hey, I'll call the mechanic. It's no big deal. You're positive. Hey, I need a new car anyway, right? That's how you deal with that. If you're emotional, you find yourself emotional for no reason, right? Because you cannot control when your emotions show up, but what you can do is control them once they have arrived, right? This is upper level thinking, but when you get upset, you can't control that. If someone slaps you in the face, you're going to get mad. Once you experience that emotion, it's up to you to make that decision, right? This is when you have that pause time and you talk to yourself in the right manner. Don't ever try to ignore your emotions, right? When you ignore your emotions, it doesn't work at all, right? Your emotions naturally occur within you, whether you like it or not. So you have to address them, right? Now I ask you guys this question, because you guys know I work at the prison, right? So sometimes I'll talk about the criminal element. People think it's weird, but it's a very good analogy, right? Who does more damage to you? The man that you can look in the eyes and open the door and say, hello, how are you, Bob? Or the guy that breaks into your house at the middle of the night? Yes, sir. Opens the door.
Be safe. The other guy?
Yeah.
He's not very safe.
Why not?
He didn't do the thing that I'm thinking like, hello.
You made a very good point, right? The guy that you say that says ding dong, hello, I'm here is more safe than the guy breaking in at the middle of the night, right? When you think about your emotions this way, when you try to not be sad, right, it's gonna break into your life in another area, right? And when people break in, right, they do whatever they want. When you open a door for them, it's a much different conversation, right? So when you find yourself having an emotional moment, you want to confront that emotion and not try to hide from it, right? Whether it's sadness, happiness, joy, excitement, whatever you're feeling. When sadness does show up out of nowhere, you say, listen, Mr. Sadness, I don't know why you're here, okay? But I know I can't make you leave. But if you're going to stay here, which I know you are, I got some people you're going to have to talk to. You're going to bring sadness to logic, rationality, and positivity. And once your sadness is confronted with these other things, your sadness will have to go away, especially if it's there just because it's Wednesday. Because logic is a lot like me. It talks too much. Well, it's just Wednesday. What do you mean? It's a beautiful day outside. Why are you here? It's Wednesday. I'm here because, no, that doesn't make sense to me. Rationality, how do you feel? Or rationally speaking, tomorrow's going to be Thursday, and the day before that was, it'll leave. You see this conversation? Your sadness doesn't want to deal with that just for no reason, right? So whenever you're fronted with your emotions, you bring them to TP3, and they will be figured out. Who could think of a good reason to have an emotional reaction?
I would say if you've been gone for a while and then you see your family, you get really, really happy and you start crying because you're so happy.
Awesome, very good answer. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. You win the lottery. Super dope time to be excited about being alive. Yes, ma'am.
You get the new J's.
When you get the new J's and your feet are on fleek, right? It's a great feeling, especially if you earned it. Yes, ma'am.
When you ace that test.
When you ace that test. I like what you guys are saying because no one has said something negative. I love that. I love that. Ma'am.
You lose someone.
You lose someone, right? You got to have that emotional reaction because when you talk to logic and rationality, they're like, yeah, grandma is gone, right? Or they say, yo, we got $1 million from the lottery. Like, what? Like, logically, I'm with it. Yes, sir.
Stubbing your toe?
Yeah.
I'm on the edge or something.
So before you stub your toe and then kick your dog because you're mad because you stubbed your toe because the dog was in the way, before you do that, you use
You gotta
TV.
think about it first.
Logically and rationally, you see? Now you're going to make a better decision. Like, that's not a good idea.
Without picking it off.
Without kicking the dog. What I mean by having an emotional reaction for good reason, I'm not talking about only good emotions, right? I'm talking about emotions that have an understandable reason behind them, right? Because when emotional reactions have a good reason, you have to fully embrace whatever emotion that is, okay? This is because you can never escape the reality of your mentality. This is why it's so crucial to always be logical, rational, and positive. Because you can't escape up here. I can put you in the best apartment in Chicago. I can give you the best car. If you still hate yourself when you look in the mirror, or you're still unhappy for no reason, that's the life you're going to live, right? It does not matter your physical circumstances, right? So you can never escape the reality of your mentality. So when you're faced with something that makes you have an emotional reaction for good reason, go with it. Understand it. You know what I mean? Live in it, right? I don't care if it's happiness or sadness. I don't care if it's joy or jealousy. You have to live in it, because if you try to avoid it, what's going to happen? Running from your emotions leads to a lot of things that they try to keep you away from, right? Alcoholism, drug addicts.
Sometimes.
But they're running away from something emotionally, right? If you understand and you deal with it, you know what I mean? You're going to take that pause time and make a better decision, a more logical, more rational decision. I know this firsthand because as a homeless youth, before I embodied IMH and before I had my own emotional resiliency, I was very depressed, okay? I was extremely depressed, purely because I would never allow myself to be sad, even though I had a very good reason to be. You see, being 8 years old, living in a van, being cold at night, you have a very good reason to be sad. I pretended like everything was okay. Me not allowing myself to be sad made it so I couldn't be happy, and it was all because I was afraid to feel anything, right? I did not fully embrace my emotions. I was absolutely afraid of them. It wasn't until I embodied and embraced all the emotions that I was feeling that had a good reason behind them that I was able to progress as a person, right? And my progression is solely due to my ability to embrace my emotions whenever I'm having them. If I'm sad, we're going to talk about my sadness. You made me very sad today. Man, you made me very sad when you insulted me. You know what I mean? When I started to do that, I took control of my life, right? Because without the emotional resiliency, there can be no progression as a person. Because you can't control your emotions, you can't control your life. Why do you think you can't control your emotions, you can't control your life?
Not logical.
Not logical, right? So if you let something that's not logical run your life, how can you control your life? You see that thought process? Does that make sense? Right? So if you let your life be ran by your emotions, or you're running away from them, and they're breaking in every part of your life, and you have no control over it because you can't really pick how you feel, right? You never try to understand that. What kind of life are you going to have? And even emotions that have good reason, by the way, they have to go through the same process as emotions that have no reason. They still got to talk to the big three: rationality, right, positivity, and logic. You already said why, because if they don't, you'll be all willy-nilly. You can win the lottery. If you don't control yourself emotionally, what are you going to buy? You're going to try to buy happiness. You're going to be gambling. Right? No, let's go with this scenario. You win the lottery. You have no control over your emotions. What's the first thing that person's probably going to buy? Yes.
I would help my family.
See, you be logical. You control your emotions, right? That's a controlled thing to do, right? Because your family's going to need a very specific amount of help. One of them needs a house. Some of them need clothes. Some of them need this. That's logical. So I can't agree with that. I'm saying you don't control your emotions. What's the first thing you're going to buy? You win the lottery. Miles?
Some shoes.
Not some shoes. You were going to buy these shoes.
Right. A car.
A car, but not a car.
Several cars.
A Lamborghini, right? All purely off of emotion. And I want you guys to understand that people who live an emotional life, right, they always find themselves down the wrong path. They become drug addicts, criminals, gamblers, or worst of all, here's the worst thing I want you guys to understand as youth, right? Or you just become mediocre. Right? You're always on Facebook liking things because that feels good. You just become a mediocre person who can't think outside the box. So nobody in this room is going to be a drug addict. I can already see it in your faces. You guys are all going to be successful. I can see that, right? But being mediocre, that's something that's hard to fight. Because people, they want to feel good all the time. I work with criminals, so I've seen exactly this thought process, right? You just want to feel good all the time. So instead of earning it, you take it, right? Because that felt good to have it in that immediate gratificating moment. But realistically, it was never yours because you didn't earn it, right? So this is why you need to focus on developing emotional resiliency, right, in the face of your emotions. Because if all you want to do is feel good, you're going to do the wrong thing. Because life's not about feeling good, it's about finding a balance. This ability to understand your emotions, to help point yourself in the right direction, it brings me to the second half of the IMH philosophy, self-sufficiency. Who has an idea what self-sufficiency means?
Take care of yourself.
Being able to take care of yourself, right, which is very important. So here's the dictionary definition of self-sufficiency. It means the ability to take care of oneself without help. Now, once again, self-sufficiency was something that I was forced to learn. Now, when I say I was forced to learn self-sufficiency, I don't mean I sat in a classroom and they were like, self-sufficiency, self-sufficiency, self-sufficiency. I didn't mean I went to the board and wrote it down 100 times like Bart Simpson. I mean, I was forced to learn self-sufficiency due to the fear of starvation and potential incarceration. Right? Because when you're starving or when you don't have a lot of things, you want to do the wrong thing sometimes, right? Right? When you have nothing, you want to get something. You have options. You can earn it or you can go out there and take it, right? So I learned how to be self-sufficient because I was afraid of what might happen to me, right? I'm not going to eat if I don't learn how to take care of myself. It's just not going to happen, right? Right? Also, if I want to go out there and do something to get it at the age of 15 when I couldn't even get a job, I might have to what? What do 15-year-olds do if they want money? Young black 15-year-old male, no parents, nothing to his name. What does he do to get money in America? Typically, stereotypically, sell drugs, right? Right? Gigantic fear, right? Because the life that I was living, I was with certain people. I knew drug dealers, right? I watched a guy make $10,000 in a week, right? Right? No. He's got you could say that on the surface, right? That's that not being emotionally resilient. That's that not being self-sufficient. You see. He did go to jail, right? Now he's a 6-time felon and he can't do nothing else but sell drugs. He's got no options, you see. So at 15, that was a big scare for me because eventually you get so hungry, sometimes people break, right? So this is what made me want to take care of myself, was that I was in such a destitute situation that I was like, I need to find a way out of this. I don't know how I'm going to get out of it, but I need to take care of myself, right? So at 15, I couldn't work, I wasn't in school, and all I really had was the clothes on my back. But even in this situation, I never lost the internal motivation to want to take care of myself, right? The internal motivation that I had, it permeated with whoever met me. So I kept meeting people who just kind of wanted to help because instead of selling drugs, I was like, I just want to go to school. So I met someone who said, okay, well, let's help you get in school, right? People want to help you when you want to help yourself, right? When you're actually motivated, you motivate people around you. It's a contagious thing, you see. So I never lost my internal motivation to take care of myself, so people helped me along the way to get to that level, right? I didn't give up on me, so people didn't want to give up on me. You understand what I'm saying? With this internal motivation to become self-sufficient, I had to accept any and all help, right? I couldn't be arrogant at the age of 15, like, you made tuna for dinner? I can't do that, right? I'm hungry. So, you know what, you made tuna? Thank you, ma'am, I appreciate it. I had to accept this help because it was leading me to becoming self-sufficient, you see. Self-sufficiency, I realized at the age of 15, was a lifelong process with a lot of help along the way. See, when I was maybe younger, I thought, oh, self-sufficiency, you just kind of get it. You go to school, you get the job. I didn't realize how many people along the way had to help you. Give you that meal, give you that ride. And sometimes people just kind of gave me a conversation to steer me in the right direction, right? But either way, they would help me on my way to become self-sufficient. So I know it might sound like the opposite, right? Because self-sufficiency is the ability to take care of yourself without help. But this is a process. So before you can do it on your own, you've got to get help along the way. Another way I became self-sufficient and I used self-sufficiency was in my 15-year-old mind. I simply just accepted the couch that I had to sleep on for 4 years of high school. I accepted all the free meals I can get. I accepted my thrift store wardrobe. And I also accepted anybody who had advice for me, right? I was listening to every single person I could because I knew I need to take care of myself. So, okay, you got a good job. Okay, how'd you do that? Okay, you had a good family. Okay, how'd you do that? Okay, I see your car. How'd you do that? Okay, you know what? I see that. How'd you do that? I was listening, right? Looking for a way out of my situation. I had a very reality-based focus. See, so I want you guys to focus on the reality of your life and not the fantasy. Because when you focus on the fantasy, you will be depressed, right? You look at Beyonce's house, you look at your house. You're like, damn. Your survival and the way to survive will become obvious. It will become absolutely obvious once you focus on reality. The longer you avoid reality, the longer your life's going to be not what you want it to be. Does this make sense? Here's my reality at 15. I'm poor, I have no parents, I had to be kicked out on the streets at any time. I still have to graduate high school, somehow I still have to go to college, or I'll just never make it in this world, right? See, this reality-based focus helped me to become self-sufficient because focusing on reality and not the fantasy made my survival my only option. Focusing on this reality gave me the strength to not crumble under my emotional reality and my environmental reality, you see. Because when you're 15 and you don't have a mom, right, you think you're a man, you feel like a man, you look like a man, you sound like a man, right? You're not a man, you need a mother, right? I didn't have that at all, right? But I couldn't crumble under that pressure of not having that, right? When you live in someone's house, and they don't look like you, and they don't sound like you, and they didn't give birth to you, right? That's an environmental pressure that might get to you. But I couldn't break under this environmental reality. I had to find a way to get out of it. So I focused on the reality of it. The reality is, you're a guest. No matter how long you live here, you're a guest, so you need to tidy up. Understanding my reality and not living in fantasy, I realized that I had to join the Army, right? Joining the Army was only because I had to focus on what was actually happening to me, right? Now, if I didn't have emotional resiliency, I would not have been able to join the Army. You join the Army for a logical reason. My logical reasons for joining the Army was that I was not going to be able to pay for college. Student debt just surpassed housing debt. Right? I was not going to be able to pay for college. I needed a place to live where I wasn't walking on eggshells and I might have to get kicked out at any moment, right? And also, I'm not going to lie to you, at the age of 18, you know what else I needed? Discipline. Who said that? There it is, discipline. I needed some discipline. As an 18-year-old with a 1.5 GPA and the internal motivation to take care of myself, I made that logical choice. It was in the Army that the two parts of IMH that I talked to you guys about, emotional resiliency and self-sufficiency, they became crystal clear to me, right? When I joined the Army, I was in a new environment with new people, right? I met all people from all around the country, and this thought process, they make it clear to you if you listen to them. This helped me change my life and realize the IMH process. It came in the form of a speech, just like the speech I'm giving you right now. This man's name was Senior. He was about 6'4", military cut, obviously, and he was very direct with us. He didn't hold back, you know. So I hope that I'm doing him justice when I quote him. He said, "I don't know who you are, and I don't know what kind of person you are. Only you know that. And in training, the Army can make you do anything. But if you don't want to do it for yourself, you're going to fail. Because you never succeed unless you won't do it for yourself. Nobody can give you discipline or the discipline to make it. You have to earn it. Because in this life, you've got to understand when it comes to your success, it's all inside your hands." It brought me to the understanding that nothing is going to happen unless I'm willing to work for it. It brought me to the understanding that it's up to me to define it. My homelessness did not define me. My mother not giving me validation did not define me. Me sleeping on a couch in high school did not define me. I define me, right? By looking at the reality of my situation and doing something about it. You see what I'm saying? So that speech instantly inside of me, I was like, oh, okay. I'm here for discipline, but now I gotta earn it. Okay, you know what I mean? But I listened to this man because what he was saying was absolutely and positively the truth. So this speech brought out of me what I hope, right, in this last 20 minutes that I brought out of you, right? How to begin living the IMH in my hands lifestyle, right? Because after this speech, it all clicked for me. In the Army, at 19, 4 years after I was homeless, I made the decision to take control of my life, right? Now, who remembers my GPA from high school? Who remembers my GPA from high school? Yes, ma'am. It was a 1.5 GPA, right? After I got this speech and learned that I could take control of my own life, and I didn't have to be sad and depressed, and I could be emotionally strong, and I could be self-sufficient and stand on my own 2 feet, I ended up graduating from my Army Medical School with a 90% pass rate, right? So it made me top 10% of the whatever, not that big of a deal. But then I went on from there with that same work ethic, and I graduated from college with a 4.0. Right? So I went from 1.5 GPA, where I didn't really think too much about being in my own hands, to a 90% pass rate, to graduating with a 4.0. And as I graduated with that 4.0, I then got the job that I always wanted. I became a correctional officer. Soon I will be a parole agent, which is the dream of my life, right? So from just taking control of my life, I got a 90%, okay, then I got a 4.0, okay, now I got the job, right? And when I got the job I wanted, I bought the house that I needed, right? So I'm no longer in fear of being homeless because I own my own house. I bought my own house at 24. Which some people don't even accomplish to the age of 30 because they're not financially responsible, looking at the reality of the situation, they're living in the fantasy, they want the biggest, they want the best house. Me, not the case, right? So I got the job I wanted to get the house I needed because through my understanding of IMH, I knew that I could not be defeated, right? And through my belief in self-sufficiency, I knew I had to do it on my own, right? And this is how I went from homeless to owning my own home. So I hope in this last 20 minutes, that's how you understand that when you think about your future, it is really in your hands. And that is all I have for you guys today. I hope that was helpful. Yeah, well, stop it.